The insert and the body were seriously damaged. Unfortunately, there were no replacement parts available locally. The repair shop master processed it directly on site. The insert that was originally declared scrap could be restored to normal use after a seemingly simple repair. In order to repair the damaged differential, the main head differential rushed to the repair shop very quickly. After the owner's detailed description, it can be seen that the adjustment flange on the outside of the differential has been seriously loose. In order to observe the internal damage more clearly, the repair master quickly disassembled it and further confirmed that the thread has been basically scratched. The bearing base inside the differential has also been damaged, which undoubtedly increases the repair cost. This situation, time cost in order to repair the damaged thread. The master chose to repair the damaged thread and then process a new adjustment flange. This repair method seems simple, but it is actually very difficult. They don't have a suitable large consumption tap. The master has to process it on site. The purpose of processing this half shaft is to install the gear so as to maintain the overall concentricity during the subsequent repair process. After the gears used to process the large consumption taps are installed, in order to ensure firmness, masters will use electric welding for welding. Then the processing process of the gears is relatively simple. It is necessary to cut the outer diameter of the gears to the appropriate size according to the standard size. In this way, the threads can be processed. The master who thought of using gears to process the tearing tapers is definitely a talent. For example, the spacing between the teeth can just serve as a row of pin grooves, and the hardness of the gears for processing this cast iron differential is completely sufficient. This large tearing taper has been processed very quickly after the master's skilled processing. T is a mold for positioning. In order to facilitate processing, the processing materials used by the masters are wood blocks. In this way, the processing process progresses quite quickly. First, the master cuts out the positive platform for positioning. Then, the middle position needs to cut a circular hole for the subsequent installation of the half shaft. In order to find the overall concentricity, the circular hole at the bottom is carefully cut by the turning tool. At this time, the size has been processed to the appropriate size. The surface also needs to be chamfered by the turning tool for subsequent installation. Conical mold for positioning. Fu's skilled cutting made it very quickly. Then the master only needed to assemble it to the damaged insert. With the conical mold, when repairing the thread, the concentricity of the body must be no problem. To ensure firmness, Fu directly fixed the assembled insert to the lathe. Then, the experienced repair master used a number of taps through skilled operation. Bow W6, the fork speed assembly was repaired. Then the new adjustment flange could be processed. Before processing, the master first needed to use a caliper to measure the size of the flange. Then, this metal could be used for processing. Since the lathe chuck would affect the cutting of the outer diameter, the master needed to cut the inner diameter to the appropriate size. He used a large twist drill to open the opening and then used a turning tool to expand the arch. The inner diameter of the metal was processed very quickly. Then the inner diameter of the metal could be fixed. This processing process is relatively simple. Fu only needed to cut according to the measured size through skilled cutting. Gradually cut the metal to the right size. To facilitate cutting the hole for adjusting the flange, the master first used a lathe tool to carve out the positioning circle. The positioning line of the hole can be drawn with steel paper. The intersection of the line and the positioning circle is exactly the standard position. After punching out 8 positioning holes, the next step is to use a twist drill to open them. During this process, the master skillfully adjusted the tailstock and the 8 fixed holes were processed very quickly. Then the lathe tool can be used to perform detailed cutting of the inner diameter. Gradually cutting can make the adjustment hole position very standard. Metal exterior view. The master also needs to cut out a new thread to connect with the speed insert. The thread cutting process is relatively simple for experienced maintenance masters. Through the operation of the head and face, the thread is quickly processed. You can see that after the master's careful installation, there is no problem with the thread below. The broken thread is finally repaired. When repairing the shaft city installation base inside the speed insert first, the master fixed it on the lathe and then welded the other half of the broken part to ensure firmness. The welding process took half an hour. After the welding of the shaft base, the diameter also needed to be polished off with a lathe tool. After the masters repaired it for 3 hours, the severely damaged plug-in speed assembly was finally repaired. If there are 10 points, how many points would you give?